Hello, my name is Diana. The aim of this video is to show you how to create a simple dashboard using DataTile. So what is a dashboard? A dashboard is an interactive page where you can display important charts and tables that visualize your data. In a few short steps, you can create your dashboard and share it with clients and colleagues. A dashboard is not tied to any one project. It can combine data and graphics from different sources. And you only need to set up the dashboard the first time you have the data. After loading a new wave of data, you don't have to recreate anything. DataTile will do everything for you. I'm going to show you my demonstration dashboard so you can see the types of elements that you can create in your dashboard. The dashboard is like a blank canvas where you can place different elements to help showcase and visualize your data. And you can have several pages in your dashboard. These are called tabs, and they're useful for separating different types of information in your dashboard. In this example, for instance, we have a page for demographic data and a separate page for brand attitude. All of the elements that you can add to your dashboard are called widgets. So you can have chart widgets, table widgets, text box widgets, image widgets, etc. So here is an example of a text box where I've got demographic profile text. I've got an image on my right hand side, and I've got charts down at the bottom and at the top here. And on the left hand side, I've got what's called a control, and this allows me to filter the data by whatever I select on the left hand side. So I'm going to choose Europe, and that automatically changes both of the charts as I've set it up that way. So it filters both of them at the same time. Okay, we're now going to get started with creating a similar dashboard from scratch. Okay, and we're going to, first of all, what we need to do is create our dashboard. So if I go back to MySpace and then click on the plus sign, and you can choose what you want to create, and I'm going to create a dashboard. I have to give it a name, so I'm going to call this Test Beverages Dashboard. And then click on Create. And that now appears on the left hand side, and I now need to open it, so I'll double click on it to open it. And this creates a blank canvas. Now if I want to set up my dashboard settings, which will basically decide how the canvas is going to look, I need to be in edit mode, and at the top here you've got an edit button, and this just toggles from edit to view, so each time you make a change you can go back to view and see what it's actually going to look like in your example. So click on edit, and on the left hand side you've got dashboard settings. Now if this is not showing for any reason, it probably means that you've selected something on the right hand side if you've got some widgets in there, and if you have anything selected on the right hand side, then the widget settings show instead. But we want to set up our dashboard settings to start with. So at the top it shows the name of the dashboard, so if you wanted to edit that, you just simply change the name here. Now under resolution you can choose from the options. You've got 1900, 1600, 1200, 960 and 600, and 1200 tends to be the best one to use for most screens. So I'll leave that on 1200. You have an option here for smart guides, and what that does, if you turn that on, then when you move the widgets around the canvas, the smart guides will appear and help you to align and space them so they fit nicely together. Equally useful is Snap Grid, and what this does is you've got this graph paper on the right hand side, and what it does is when you move anything on the canvas, it will snap to the nearest intersection of that grid, and it just helps you to align stuff. Okay, what we can also do is on the dashboard I showed you earlier, I had a grey background for my dashboard. That just colours in the background canvas. And I had no colour set for my widgets itself because I wanted those to show sort of clearly on the grey background. So if you go to Common Styles, and if I click on Dashboard Background, you've got various standard colours at the bottom here, and then you've got a palette at the top, and I'm going to choose one of the grey colours at the top there. It's a bit of a grey purple colour actually, and then that automatically changes on the screen. If I want to see what that looks like at any time, I click on View, and it just shows me the new colour palette. Back to Edit, and I'm back in my dashboard settings here. If I wanted to set the widget's background, I would do it in the same way, just by clicking on the little palette here. And the last thing in common styles that you can do is you can actually assign different font or text styles to each of these. So you've got a header, a subheader, a third subheader, and you can set the font, the size, the colour and the style for each of those if you wish. Now, when I showed you the demonstration dashboard, I had 2 pages on it. I had one for demographics and one for brand attitudes. And these are called tabs, as I mentioned. And if I go into tabs, I want to choose to turn the tabs on. And by default, it automatically calls the first one first tab. So opening up the tab section, I can actually change the name of that one. So I want to call it demographics. So you just highlight the name there where it says first tab and put your name instead. And the eye to the right means it's going to be visible. And we want to add another tab for our brand attitudes. So you click on brand, add a tab, and then I'm just going to type over the top here. That's not currently showing, so you click on the eye and that will now become visible. I've typed that wrong, let's add a D. Good. Now you do have an option under this to display it as a menu. I'm going to just show you how that looks, just so you can see the difference between the two. So if I click on view, at the moment you can see that those two will show at the top of the page. If I go back to edit and choose under tabs, choose display as menu, and then go to view, you'll see that it now shows only the first one, and you have to click on the little menu to get up the second one. I prefer the tabs personally, so I'm going to change in this example back to turn that menu off. Okay, and then finally at the bottom, I've got something called a running title. Now this allows you to put text onto the top of every page of your dashboard. This is useful for announcements and things like copyright. So I'm going to choose to put a running title on, and on my text here, I'm going to type this dashboard is for demonstration purposes only. And you can see that the text has appeared at the top there, and that will appear regardless of the tab that you have selected. Further down you'll have elements. Once you've got some elements appearing actually in your database, then you will see in the pane at the bottom here, it'll show you elements and actually list the elements that you have in your dashboard. So now we've prepared our dashboard canvas, we need to add some elements to the dashboard. So the first things we're going to add are our charts. Now, in order to do that, we need to go back to the charts themselves and export them. So to do that, you click on My Space up at the top. On the left-hand side, you click on Shared with Me, and mine are based in the database called Beverages BHT version 4. So I'm going to double-click on Demo to open that folder, double-click on Beverages BHT to open that, and then double-click on Beverages BHT version 4 to open the database. And I've got 5 charts already saved here, charts 1 to 5. And the first 2 charts that we're going to put into our demographics tab in our dashboard are charts 1 and 2. It's very easy to export them, and I'm going to click on the chart 1, make sure it's selected, and go to the Share button in the top right here and choose Export to Dashboard. Now, I mentioned earlier on that you can actually create a new dashboard when you're exporting, as well as creating it at the beginning. So if you haven't already got the dashboard created, you could click on Create New Dashboard here, give it a name and export to there. But we have our Test Beverages dashboard, so I'm going to click on that one and then choose Export. Now, because we have 2 tabs, it's asking me which tab I want to put them on. And this particular chart, I want to put it onto Demographics and then click on Export. I'm going to go straight to my second chart and put that in. So click on Share, Export to Dashboard, Same as before, test beverages dashboard, export, and I'm going to put it onto demographics and then export again. Okay, now charts 3, 4 and 5 we're going to put onto brand attitudes. So if I go to chart 3, share, export to dashboard, test beverages dashboard, brand attitudes and export. Let's do the same for chart 4. So share button, export to dashboard, test beverages dashboard, export, brand attitudes, export. And if you can't see all of the charts, you can't see chart 5 at the moment, if you click on these little dots it shows you anything that else is that's available. So I've got chart 5 here. Let's export that to dashboard, same dashboard as before, and brand attitudes and export. Now we need to go back to our dashboard. So if I click back on the Shared with Me and I go to My Space, we've got our test beverages dashboard here. So I'm going to open that up. Okay, now when you export the charts, they tend to just get put into the dashboard on top of each other. So we need to move those around and make ourselves some space for other stuff. So to do that, you click on Edit at the top, and you can now move the charts around. So if I want to have the age bands, which is the one with this one at the top of the chart. So if I click on there and I'm going to move it up, and I want to move the other one down, so you scroll and then you just literally click and drag them to the location that you want. And you can see here I've got the snap to grid thing has come up with this. With these lines, it shows it's lining them. If you want them to be slightly smaller, you can always change the size. You just click on the corners and you just drag it to the required size. And then you can move them up and down. If you prefer to use your arrow keys, when you've got the item selected, you can just use your arrows up and down, right or left, and that just allows you to move things a very small amount at a time. So that's tidied up the demographics one a little bit, and what we'll do is just quickly tidy up the brand attitudes ones as well, because we've got 3 here. So we've got our, let's click on the line one, we're going to have that at the bottom. And this is our column chart, and my pie chart I want to make much smaller. And I want to put that over here on the left. We'll resize it in a moment once I finish resizing the other bits and pieces. So you see these red lines, they are showing where the center of these 2 items are if you want them centered. And if you want them lined up, the red line shows when they're lined up too. And I'm going to make this one the same width as the other one, and you just put it there as to the same width. Actually, I'm going to move them down a little bit because we need a bit more room in a moment for a text box. I'll just move this one down a little bit further as well. Okay, now if you want to see what these look like at the moment, as I say, you've got this toggle between view and edit. So if I want to see it now, I'm going to go to view, and this will show me what it looks like at the moment. Okay, and if I go to brand attitudes, you can see what that one looks like. So I've got my pie, my column chart and my line chart there. So let's go back to edit. Now you can set individual settings for each of the different widgets, and to do that you click on the widget itself to bring up the dotted lines, and then you'll see on the left hand side this pane now changes to widget settings. If you decide you don't want to see something, you can just hide it temporarily. So if you click on the eye on the left hand side, you can choose to hide that. It still appears there, but it's just not showing. So to show it again, just click on the eye again. And then you've got bring to front and send to back. Now, if you had items that were overlapping, but you wanted them to stay overlapping, but have one on top or one behind, you could use the bring to front and the send to back to decide to make that look the way you want it. The next item on this menu is clone, which is the same as copy. So if you wanted to create exactly the same chart as you already have, or the same widget as you already have, you can click on clone and it creates a second copy on the page. And if you wanted to edit the widget itself, you can click on the pencil and that will take you into edit mode. And that takes you, because we're in a chart, it's taking you back to the chart. So I'm going to cancel that because I don't want to edit my chart at this stage. And the other option that you had when you have your widget highlighted is delete. So if you do want to delete it and not just hide it, you can get rid of it by clicking on there, and it will just give you a checkbox to say, are you sure? Now we've moved the stuff around on the screen, but if you wanted the item to appear at a particular point, you can choose the settings from here under top left, width and height. Okay. And so that each of them will change depending on the type of widget that they are. So we're going to go back to the demographics page of the canvas, and we're going to create a control. And our control, it works as a filter, and it allows us to make the dashboard interactive by adding buttons and menus, which will allow me to slice and dice the data in the same chart. So we're going to start off by creating the control, and then we'll actually link it to the charts in this dashboard. So first things first, we need to create the control, and at the top here you've got a button for create a control. If I click on there, this brings up the control window. On the left hand side you've got all the variables that appear in your particular database. Now for this particular one in the demographics, we're going to add a region filter. So I'm going to click on region, and you simply click and drag it and drop it where it says drop here. And you can see there the elements it shows at the top, the items that are there, because you can get rid of some of those if you don't want them to appear. Just click on an X to remove it. This shows as buttons by default at the bottom, at the side here. And what we're going to do now is set this control up so it shows the way we want to. So at the moment, as I say, the control type is buttons, which I think is quite good in this particular case. So we leave buttons okay. You have got an option of buttons, drop down, accordion, range and text. And today we'll be looking at buttons, drop down and text. So we'll stick with buttons, go back to the menu. The selection type you've got here, you can either have single select or multiple select. Now I might want to look at more than one region at one time, so I'm going to choose multi-select. Back to the menu. And at the moment the orientation is horizontal, and I would prefer that to be vertical. So you can see how that changes on the left hand side. And then finally, I want to just create a title to show that that is region. So if you click on title, you can put the name in here, and I've just put region in here, and you can change the font size, and you can also change the alignment. So at the bottom here you can say I want to show it at the top. If you want it to show at the left, you can have that, and at the right, and also at the bottom. So a top or left tend to be the best ones to use. So we've done that now, so we've made our control. So once you've done that, you click on Save Control in the top right hand corner, and it just drops the control into the middle of the canvas. So we need to move it. So I'm going to click on it and drag it up. I want to take it to the left hand side. So I'm going to move this chart across, and I move this one across as well. I want to make enough room for my control. So I'll click on here, and I can resize this as well. So I'm going to resize it, and I'm going to put this down here. I'm going to move that other one just across just a little bit. And the one underneath as well, just to match. Now if we want to see how that works and see if we haven't actually set it and told it to filter a particular chart yet, so we need to just do that. So first of all you click on the control here, and then each of the charts will now have a box at the top here where it shows put on sync filter value single, and we're going to choose filter to tell it to filter against this chart. So I'm going to click on filter here, and I'm also going to choose to filter on this one as well. You can always add this later if you haven't set it up initially. Now to see how that works, we go to view. So you click toggle to view, and then I'm going to click on Europe on the left hand side, and you can see that the chart has changed. If I move up a little bit, you can see the other chart as well. So if I go to South America this time, you can see the data has changed. And on this one, we chose that we could have two areas. So if I want to unclick Europe, I can have just South America showing. I can change it and then unclick any I don't want. So that is how a control works. When I've left a space at the top because we're going to put in some text boxes and an image later on. Okay, let's go to our brand attitudes now, and we'll add some controls to this. I think we need to make a little bit of space first, so I'm just going to go back to Edit View and just drag this one down a little bit, move this down to match, and move this one down just a bit further as well. Okay. Now in this controls, I want of this dashboard, I want to put in a control for gender and one for age band. So we need to create our control to start with. So we'll do the first one first, then do the second, and then we'll link the two. So click on Create a Control, and I'm going to start off with gender. So I'll put that in, and I'm going to show you what a text control type looks like. So if you wanted to use that type, you could. So once you've created it there, it always creates this button to start with. If I choose text, you can see that shows there's like a radio button option for male and female. If you like that, you can stay with that one. If not, you can go back to buttons, and I'm going to change it back to buttons in this instance. Selection type, there's only 2 items, so I only want a single selection. And I'm happy with horizontal there as the option for the buttons are left one beside each other. And I need to put a title. So I'm just going to put gender here. I'll leave the font size the same and save control. And that's created it right in the middle of everything, so I just need to move that up and there, up to the left. We can change the location of those in a moment. Let's create the other control. So we wanted to have one for age bands. So click on Control. Age categories is the item we want. Click and drop it here. And this time we want to make it a drop-down list. So I'll choose drop-down, and you can see there you get a drop-down list with a little arrow. And we are going to keep single select. I think we only want to look at one age band at a time. You can always go back and change this if you need. And then under title, we'll call this age bands. And then I'm going to save the control. Now we need to link these controls to the, oh, I didn't mean to move that, I meant to move the control. Let's move the control up. Oops, click on it and move up. You can resize the controls at any time, so you can see this gender one's got quite big, so I'm just going to make that much smaller. And this 50+ one is very big as well, so again I'm going to change the size of that, line it up with the other one, and then make it smaller. And just move it across a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to move that chart up. I'm going to move it up a little bit because I'm actually going to choose to have a header in a moment to show us what the filter is that we've got on. So therefore, if I click on the gender control, and remember as last time we had filter on the different charts, so you click on filter, and I'm going to filter all 3 charts by this gender and also by the age. So click on filter on each of those. And then we're going to click on the age bands, and then choose to filter again on all 3 of the charts. And as before, we'll go to view mode and actually have a look and see what that looks like and how it works. So you can see here the two controls. So if I change this to female, you'll see that the chart should change. Let me change to another age band, and you can see that the items change. So long as it's all moving and changing as you want it to, then that's fine. So now we'll go back to edit mode. Let's go back to demographics. So on this particular one, we're going to add a text box. And to do that, you've got a little box up, a little icon up here called Create Text, and it creates a new text widget, which is quite big and it overlaps everything, but that's not a problem. We can change it. To go into actually change the text, you double click on it, and you'll see you get a toolbar at the top which shows the type of text it is, what font it is, the size, and the usual styling buttons that you get when you're dealing with text. So let's make this one 48. We'll make it bold and italic, and we'll change the colour to bright red. Okay, and I'm just going to move that up the screen, click on it, move it up, and I'm going to change the text so it reads demographics profile. Make it a bit wider and shorter. So that now appears there. Now this is a run to do with beverages, so I want to put an image on my dashboard to denote that it is of beverages. So I'm going to click on Create an Image, choose a file, and I've got a document saved on my desktop, so I'll double click on beverages and choose to upload it. Now it makes it the default size that it was when you downloaded that item, so you would just move it to where you want it to be. So I'm going to just try and align this with the right hand side of my chart. Okay, it keeps the alignment with that at the top by that red line, and if I want to see what that looks like, click on View and this shows you your demographics dashboard. We'll do the same on the brand attitudes. Go back to Edit and we're going to add text. Here's our text box. Let's call this Brand Attitudes. We'll make it red. Make it the same as the other one, bold, italic, and let's move it. Okay, I'm going to make it shorter. And we're going to put the image in here as well. So click on Create an Image, choose a file. I'll choose the same file as before and click on Upload. There's my drinks. Again, I just want to move that. I can resize it. If it's too big, I'll just resize it. And I can line it up with my chart. Okay, let's go to View and see how that works. So you can see there I've got the text, the image, my field, my controls there, and my three charts. So now we have completed our dashboard creation, and you've got the two there, demographics and brand attitudes, and then we want to share it with somebody. So in order to share your dashboard with other users, you click on the share button at the top, the little picture of two heads. You enter an email address for the person that you want to send it to. If you're going to be adding more than one person, you separate the email addresses with a column, as it says here below. And then you choose from three options. You've got View, Share, or Edit. Now, View will only allow the recipient to view the dashboard. If you choose Share, that allows the recipient to view the dashboard and share it with other DataTile users by giving them view permission. And Edit will allow the recipient to view, share, modify, and publish the dashboard as if they were the owner of it. So let's just choose View, and we'll put in an email address here. And then once you've done that, you click on Invite. and that will send an email automatically to the recipient with a link to allow them to access your dashboard. Okay, thank you very much for listening.